Narcissists, whether they'll actually say it this clearly or not, their notion is, well, my fine self would be okay if I just didn't have so many idiots around me. Narcissists, however, are basically empty on the inside. One of the things that they lack is introspection. When they say they want a relationship, it's like, I need somebody to feed me. Feed me, feed me, feed me.
Thank you so much for joining me for my Thanksgiving special. I'd like to focus on Dr. Les Carter, partly because he retired this year, and that's a very bittersweet experience for most of us who's found his Surviving Narcissism YouTube channel to be incredibly helpful. So we want to let you know, Dr. Carter, that we genuinely miss you, and that I want to give a very special shout out to you today on this holiday weekend as I'm focusing on what I'm most thankful for. I'm thankful for you, because you may not have realized it, but you were one of the critical people in my creator content journey and giving me a leg up. Way back when I had a very, very tiny platform, was struggling to get my first 1,000 people following me on YouTube, you went ahead and interviewed me and gave me the enormous respect that I really felt very flattered. So thank you so much. And then later, you defined me as one of the people that you were the fondest of, one of your favorites. And I'll tell you, that designation was not lost on me and deeply, deeply touched me. So today I'd like to celebrate Dr. Carter by highlighting the 5 interviews I've had with him over the past 2 to 3 years. We're going to go all the way back to the very original one where he had me on the show, but they're actually not in that order. They're in the order that makes most sense for content, for the topic. And today's topic is going to be, what is going on inside of a narcissist? How can we understand what's happening internally in these individuals? So I'd like to start out with the first episode that I actually had Dr. Carter on with Tara, when Tara Blair-Ballhead also was my co-host at the time. And Dr. Carter helped explain what's at the core of the narcissist, how there's actually an emptiness, a restlessness, a lack of focus and meaning, so much so that drive them to look for supply. So let's listen in on this clip that features the first interview when I had Dr. Carter on my show. Part of the core definition of narcissism is that these are individuals who are self-absorbed to the core, and in their self-absorption, they must be in control. It's all about me. Like you said, if somebody is over there not participating in the way that they want, or they're not staying inside the groove that the narcissist has already carved out, then the narcissist says, yeah, I have a problem. My problem is you're not doing things the way you're supposed to do it. And so their problem, so they say, is little more than an accusation. And so I always just tell folks in my office, why don't we focus on the one person you can do something about? And that's going to be yourself. And the narcissist, whether they'll actually say it this clearly or not, their notion is, well, my fine self would be okay if I just didn't have so many idiots around me. And that's how they think.
Yeah, I have noticed that, but they're very good at being emotionally manipulative. That's how I experienced it. I mean, I thought it was sincere when I heard my ex say, but I really want this to work and I've never worked so hard. In fact, he would say things like, don't you remember the early part of the relationship? Because we were married briefly. So in that sweet spot right in the beginning, don't you wish we could get back to that? And I'm thinking, yeah, I wish I could get back to that. I'm trying to get back to that. Do you think that that was a sincere expression of regret, or do you think that was just maybe even idealism? I don't know. How would you understand that kind of dynamic?
The idealism part, the regret, and again, the regret is, I regret that you're not continuing in that wonderful phase. So again, it's just an accusation. They have such poor insight. One of the things that's so common with narcissists is the lack of true insight with respect to who they are. For example, if you were to say, you're being a bully. Okay, so, and then you can highlight the things that they've done that's bullying, rather than them saying, I respect what you say. If that's how I'm coming across, then I have some hard self-examination to do. You will not hear them say that. Instead, it's like, me, What about you? And they flip it right around. Their walls of defense are so high and so thick that when you say, let's talk, their response is, yeah, I'll talk to you. And then here's the list of all the stuff that you should have done. And I'm sincere and I'm motivated and I want change, but it's of a very different variety than what we as therapists really try to explain to our people is going to be workable.
I noticed that the people they tend to be in a relationship with are highly motivated to make it work and tend to be very optimistic. Do you think there's a certain personality type that gets attracted to this dynamic?
Some folks can suffer from the nicest person you ever met syndrome, but too many times the person that stays extra long is the one that is more inclined towards appeasement. They want to be friendly. They want to be nice and friendly. In fact, one of my major books is called When Pleasing You is Killing Me. It's just like, look, I'm here. I'm available. I'm tuned in. When I give my commitments, I mean it. I have a loyalty factor. That kind of an individual is somebody that the narcissist is thinking, man, I can make this work for me. And the person who's in that mode is like, well, but I believe that I want to be conscientious and I want to be tuned in. And so it's a match made not in heaven. And it's just one that the narcissist will exploit. And the person in that more healthy role is thinking, I'm doing the best that I can. Why isn't this working? And then we go back to my original comment. It's not working because the narcissist isn't thinking the same as you. We can say that the narcissist doesn't have good self-reflection skills, but they also have very high exploitive tendencies. And that's not a good combination.
The second clip is my second interview with Dr. Carter on my show, and it addresses the intentionality of narcissists. Do they feel regret? Is there actual real remorse? And we get into what happens on the inside of narcissists that really make them not regretful and not very prone to humiliation or shame.
You mentioned that conflict is sort of like a big indicator to the healthiness of the relationship, but it often happens quite late into getting to know someone. Do you have any recommendations about how to pick up the fact that you're in a relationship with an immature person faster, other than starting a fight? I mean,
yeah, I'm asked that all the time, and the problem is now you have some folks they're just glaringly obvious, but others are a little bit more coy, and they're the covert narcissists typically, and they're able to cover it a lot more. But one of the things that I look for, in fact, I've got a video about questions that a narcissist can't answer, and one of them is what is it about yourself that you find to be disappointing? And typically what they'll do is they'll say, well, I had a bad relationship with so-and-so. And you know what they're going to do? Somehow they're going to say, yeah, and that person was a real jerk.
Yep.
And so they go into the blame mode as opposed to saying, yeah, I had a relationship with someone that it didn't work out well. And then I look at myself. And it's like, it didn't bring out the best in me either. They don't want to do that. Or, what are some of your hurts and what are some of your pain? Or where could you improve? And so you can ask those kind of questions and kind of get a sense as to where that person is coming from. And if they either blame almost automatically, and or if they talk to you about their hurt, they talk to you like they want you to become a complaint buddy with them. My ex is terrible, or my old man, he was mean. And, they just kind of made life miserable as soon as you walked in, and all they do is complain. It's like, well, but we're not talking about how you're learning from about yourself. And so, typically, if you are willing to go into those kind of, penetrating kind of who are you questions, you'll start seeing patterns emerge.
Yeah, mine had a really great way it looked like a mature answer, but if I had listened more carefully, and I did sense it, but I liked him, so I wanted to overlook it. But he said, I didn't interview the past women that I dated well enough. Then he outlined what was wrong with them then.
Yeah.
He didn't go on further with his failure to his over and maybe idealization or the fact
interview them correctly.
No, yeah. It was just that he didn't interview well enough. Okay. He's a better interviewer at work.
You know what it is?
What?
Victim.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm a victim.
You're right.
Everybody else's misery. As
You're right. He
opposed,
did. Yep. And
sometimes you have relationships and it takes time to get to know someone. And, I've got my idiosyncrasies and quirks just as you do. And let's take some time. Another thing that we have to watch for as well is when people are too quick to want to latch onto you. To me, that's a huge red flag. I had this one woman and she was 40-ish or so, and she'd have one broken relationship after another, bless her heart. And she came to my office on, a Wednesday or something like that. She said, last weekend I had it was a first day with this guy. And, it was incredible because we were just going to have dinner and that was going to be it. But we wound up talking till 3:00 in the morning, and we just were talking about all of our past and history. And man, it was so honest. It was wonderful. And I started telling him about all my hurts and all of this, and she just went on and on. And she thought it was really, really good that they were having this bonding right away in their very first meeting. And I'm thinking, well, okay, I'm glad you had that. And she was excited. I think I found the one. I'm thinking, well, if you meet somebody and they say, well, why don't we take our clothes off? We've known each other for 30 minutes. It's like, well, don't you think that's a little quick? And in the same vein, I'm not going to take my emotional clothing off, if you will, and reveal everything there is to know about me right away. We're gonna take time and have patience and let that build. And the unhealthy person is going to say, let's do this as fast as we can. And let's just dive right in. And, we're not going to waste any time with this. It's like, well, if love has a patient element to it, you've heard the phrase, love is patient, love is kind, it's not arrogant, it's not rude, then I've got time and we'll get there.
You know those moments at 2 a.m. when you're replaying the conversation for the 100th time? Or when you're typing out another "I'm sorry for overreacting" text, even though deep down you know you weren't the one who should be apologizing. I get it. I've been there. And after 25 years as a clinical psychologist in my own recovery journey, I've created something I wish I had back then. Reclaim You isn't just another app. It's the support that actually shows up when you need it the most. Imagine having boundary scripts you can literally copy and paste when your mind goes blank, or daily check-ins that help you spot those sneaky patterns that keep you stuck, and grounding practices that actually work in under 5 minutes when you're spiraling. Here's what I love the most. Reclaim You tracks your healing journey, so on those days when you feel like you're back at square one, you'll have concrete proof that you're not, that you're growing, you're healing, even when it doesn't feel like that. Reclaim You launches tomorrow at studio.com/Dr. Carey. That's studio.com/Dr. Carey. Get real support in real time for real healing, because you deserve to choose you. Visit studio.com/Dr. Carey and reclaim you. Now we're going to go back to the very first time I met Dr. Carter, and I'll tell you, I was shaking in my boots. I knew he had a platform way over 1 million or 500,000 followers, and at the time, I probably had all of 5,000 or so, maybe 10. I was very small at the time. So the fact that this massive creator reached out to me, someone who's been in the field and doing this for a long time, deeply touched me. And in that interview, we got into why narcissists struggle to respect boundaries, how they actually see boundaries as optionals or as ultimatums. So listen in as we talk about boundaries with narcissists and why boundaries don't work.
Narcissists, however, are basically empty on the inside. One of the things that they lack is introspection. They lack a sense of trying to know and understand who they are from the inside out. And because of that, they don't really have an inner strength to draw upon. So guess what that means? When they latch onto you, it's like, you're going to become my strength. And if I can get you to think this way, which is why they're so pushy, or if I can get you to do my bidding, which is why they're so manipulative, if I can get you to defer to me, which is why they have to be in that superior position, then I'm going to feel great about who I am. And so their sense of well-being is very externally based. And so when they say they want a relationship, it's like, I need somebody to feed me. Feed me, feed me, feed me. Tell me how wonderful I am. Prove that I'm better than you, starting with you, and then everyone else. And so there's this seemingly high opinion of oneself that they bring to the equation, when in fact, beneath the surface, what we're drawing upon is just raw emptiness, and that's something that we need to see on the inside of them, because they can't see that. And I just mentioned they don't have enough self-reflection, or even if they do say, yeah, I know sometimes I do things wrong, well, then they eventually circle around and say, but it's your fault, or it was my mother's fault, or it was my ex's fault, something like that. They just have a very difficult time taking responsibility for all of the many difficulties they generate.
So a lot of our listeners are usually in that place of sort of discovering that they may be in a relationship with a narcissist, or they realize or recognize that something's at least unhealthy or toxic about their relationship. What do you think are the signs that someone can start to look at or point at and be like, I'm absolutely in a relationship with a narcissist, and I see these things? And you've said a few, like lack of responsibility, that defensiveness, likely that anger.
Yeah.
What other things might they look for?
Going back to their need to be in control. How many times have you thought, this person just continues to nitpick at me? That would be a sign. Or this person has a pretty loose temper. In other words, all I have to do is one false move and I'm going to catch it. That's a sign. It may be that they're just super stubborn. And it's like, if I have something to say to that narcissistic person, it's like, why would I listen to you? That's low empathy. That's part of narcissism. These individuals might be secret keepers. And it's like, I want to know as much as I can about you, because that allows me to have an upper hand, but there's certain things you're not going to know about me. So that's a sign. Or it may be that that they are real good about talking to other individuals about how wonderful they are, but you see behind the scenes that they struggle, and you realize, there's this lack of consistency that they have. It's your inner self and your outer self doesn't really match pitch, and the more of an insider you are with them, the more you're going to see there's a whole lot of that. And as they can argue easily, they're easily critical and negative. I mean, there's so many things that if you see one or two of those kind of things that I just mentioned occasionally, don't we all have some of our own blind spots, or our moments where we're not really on top of our game? But with narcissists, the more you see them, you realize, man, this is persistent. And probably one of the biggest things is they absolutely won't take responsibility for relationship problems. So, let's say that you and I have a conflict and a difficulty. And so I might say something like, hey, Tara, or hey, Carrie, there's something that's bothering me. In our healthiness, we would say something like, it doesn't surprise us that we differ. In our healthiness, we would say, well, let's just sit down and talk about it. What were you expecting, and what did you receive instead, and what would you like for me to know? And then I would sit down and listen to your concerns, and we would have a sense of mutual regard in the way that we would talk with each other. Narcissists, I mean, that kind of thinking just is completely lost on them. They see relationships as a competition. And guess who's the designated loser, by the way? And they're constantly wanting to one up. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, if there's a problem here, it can't possibly be me. So something's going on with you, and we've got to fix that. And so that's where they come with their bossiness and criticism and all the rest that goes along with it. And it's frustrating. But going back to my opening comments, one of the things you can think, what did I do here to warrant this? You have to remind yourself, this isn't about you. This is about their dysfunction, and they happen to be bringing it to you. You're a player on their stage with them, but this is about who they are. And it's so important to be able to make that distinction and develop the objectivity there that they're not going to bring to the equation.
And finally, this last clip was my most recent interview with Dr. Carter that occurred this last summer in June of 2025. And we get into more about how to recognize when you've met somebody healthy. We focus so much on dysfunction, but what does actually functional relationships look like? So listen in as he and I discuss that.
When do you think a conflict gone bad is an indication this is not a savable or even a relationship we should continue in?
That's a tough one because there's so many variations of bad. But when you have some strong name calling, shaming, comparing to other individuals, if there's just a real thick wall of unwillingness to hear, a lack of empathy, all of that, those are signs that says this is not looking good. Now, they can come back later on and say, sorry about that, I wasn't at my best. But it's like, okay, healthy relationships require empathy. Healthy relationships require a sense of freedom. And when I say that, if you say, Les, I don't like the way you handle that, rather than saying you can't do that, I'm trying to restrict your
Right.
choices. It's like, well, you're free to say that. Let me hear more about what you have to say. Healthy communication and conflict resolution requires a sense of equality. I don't feel the need to one-up you and to hold myself above you. And so when you look for those kinds of qualities like that, and the person is trying to one-up you, there's not much empathy going on. There's an agenda that's there, and it's really strong. And then the defenses are super tight. There's not a willingness or ability to receive unflattering input. That's when you've got the red flags.
Yeah, and that can be hard to see sometimes because some people can come off looking sophisticated enough. You think there's a meeting of the mind when there really isn't. So is there a way, for us to spot that better? I know for me, I'm starting to tune into better my sense of confusion or just feeling bad when I walk away from that conversation and noticing there's no efforts at repair. That for me to even if I can't always see it, I can sense something's not good here.
Yeah, and one of the best ingredients you can have that will help you in that regard is called time, T-I-M-E. Time does have a way of revealing truth.
It does.
And then if you begin realizing, well, I seem to be working harder at making this a little bit of a better relationship than that other person, or finding our middle ground, then it's like, I don't want to just be the primary one that does that. I want to know that there's a reciprocal effort there.
Yeah, and that is so important, that reciprocity. I mean, if you're always the one doing all the work to repair, chasing them down, that says this person's not as invested as you are. Yeah,
a good word for our audience to hold on to is the word mutuality. We're mutually invested. I'm 80% invested and you're 20, but we're each 100%.
So that wraps up our holiday special with a retrospective of Dr. Les Carter. And once again, I want to really just say a big personal thank you to Dr. Carter for believing in a very, I wasn't young, but I was a young creator at the time, way back in 2023. So thank you so much for the way that you have encouraged me and given me a leg up, that you've essentially platformed me. And I am always going to be deeply grateful. And we miss you deeply here. So thank you so much. And for those of you who've tuned in, who's been part of Team Healthy for all this time, I want to welcome you to Team Care in honor of Dr. Les Carter. So I hope this finds you having a really wonderful holiday week. Please stay safe if you're traveling. I hope you enjoy a healthy family celebration as we remember Thanksgiving. And I'll see you back here next week with a very fascinating interview with Dr. Leslie Dobson, who's going to give us a very deep look at predation.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's episode. Are you following me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube? You can find me at Carrie McAvoy, PhD. Or you can learn more about me and my resources, such as the Toxic Free Relationship Club, at carriemcavoyphd.com. And I'll see you back here next week.